Someone from Somalia, for example, they don't even have roads really. So they can't really acclimate to Western society. The Somalians, everyone knows that they're a problem here in the Midwest.
Andrew?
Well, first, Jeb, just a heads up, they refer to themselves as Somalis, not Somalian. I think that's an important distinction to make. Like, you wouldn't want me to call you a North Dakotian or a North Dakotite. I don't think that would be a fair assessment. In general, I think the argument that immigrants from other countries don't acclimate to American society is fairly ignorant, honestly, because the same exact thing was being said about Irish immigrants in the United States. You can look up what the Know Nothing Party was saying about Irish immigrants in the 1850s. I am 1/8 Irish myself. My oldest ancestor is Irish, who fought in the Revolutionary War. And in general, they said that they were Catholic, that they did not represent American values, that they were not American natives. And mind you, when they're saying American natives, they mean Protestants, WASPs, essentially.
Boss.
So when I hear the argument saying that Somali immigrants are not worth keeping here because they don't acclimate to American society, that really reminds me of what was being said about my own ancestors. And I think that's unfair because if you listen to what most Somali immigrants are doing in order to come here to the United States, it requires a great deal of effort. And people don't move to another country just because they hate it or because it's really easy. To get from Somalia to the United States requires a great deal of effort. Most Somali immigrants aren't coming to the United States. They're going to countries such as Libya or Djibouti. And in general, they come here because they want to be in America and they want to assimilate into American society. And most immigrants coming to America are coming here because they want to be American. And there is a common misconception that is drawn up by people such as the late Charlie Kirk, as well as others, who are claiming that, in their own words, Black and brown immigrants are coming to America to replace American values with Marxist or leftist values. They're coming here because they agree with American values, and you'll often find that they vote in line with Republican or conservative values as well, especially Latin Americans who are very pro-life and anti-abortion. So I think that's a misconception to be made that they can't acclimate into society, and that is something that harkens back to the past of a targeted minority, in the past being the Irish. Right now, the Somali Americans are being targeted by the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, there's a complete difference between Irish people and Somali people. We can't act like there's not a difference. Irish have a lot more in common with the average American than Somalians do, 100%. 80% of
Somalis, not
Somalians,
Somalians, it's
Somalis,
Somali.
okay,
Thank you.
whatever. Somalis, 80% of Somalis are on welfare, and in general, they are a net negative on the
That's a
taxpayer system.
misconception. I'm sorry.
I,
It's not
I have
80%.
stats.
It's not. It's so they're saying that 80% of Somali households in the United States have someone who is on welfare. That's not the
Yeah,
same as
okay,
80%
well,
of all
80,
Somalis.
okay, they have someone who's on welfare.
So when you say that, well, Somali people are net negative to our tax base, not really. What they really are in your scenario, because I disagree with your scenario, but in your scenario,
How are
they're
they a net,
actually
how are
with,
they not a net negative?
I have this
well,
report
the
from the
same
Center
thing
of
could be said.
Immigration Studies that out of the 100,000 Somali Americans in Minnesota, they contribute $8 billion in economic impact to that state. They do
Yeah,
pay
and
tax.
GDP is everything. I mean, they commit a lot of crimes too, and
You are
Somali
completely
even
ignoring
rear-ended
what
me,
they are
and
contributing to the state just
okay,
because
well,
it's something to do with your
okay,
narrative.
look up, okay, so we got that number 8 billion. Let's see how much is Minnesota generating in taxes, and we'll do some math.
Cool, yeah. We have Minnesota, population 5.8 million. There's about 100,000 Somali Americans living in Minnesota. Somali Americans generate about $8 billion in the economy of that state alone. And there is about $82.1 billion in combined state and local general revenue. So that's a tenth of the economic activity out there generated by a minority of that state.
Well,
So you're going
I'll have to double check that.
okay, but you can't just argue that they don't contribute to society. They absolutely do. And
I
I
would
think that's,
say, okay, and GDP isn't everything. You look at
I'm
the
not
cultural
saying
aspects.
GDP is
Minnesota
everything,
used to
but
be
you
this
are
safe,
saying something that is
nice
completely
place,
false.
and then they brought them over.
You said that they were net negative on the economy and the taxpayers.
Yes,
And
yes, they are.
So would
what
you
Andrew
concede
just
that
proved
point that
is
they are
that
not a
that's
net
I don't know.
negative?
I would have to
blatantly
look.
wrong.
If you have
I
any
can look on
evidence
my
to counter
phone
the claim,
because
I'm welcome to receive it.
okay, I need to check that, but
I
I
understand,
highly
but you
doubt it.
got to be careful
I
if you're
feel
going
like
to say
I did
that
this
people
before.
are being a net negative on
Yeah,
society
well, I'm
when
going to
you
say they're
don't
a
know
net
what they're
negative. I'm
actually
going to say
doing.
they're a net negative on society. Economically or
You
not,
have
they're
no
net negative.
evidence for that, though. You can't make a statement
I
like
mean,
that.
Zionists are a net positive.
We're not talking about
net
Zionists.
positive
We're talking about
economically.
Somali Americans, okay? And you're
Yeah, and
saying that they're
I
net
don't think they're
negative.
positive. I doubt it's 10% of the GDP. Highly doubt that.
But what
Highly.
evidence do you have to make that claim?
I would have to look it up. I mean, I could look it up on my phone, but
Why are
I
you
don't
making
know
a claim before
I
you have
mean,
the evidence?
because I'm just guessing with looking around.
Why
I
are
mean, a
you
lot of
making
them
a
are on
statement about
welfare,
an entire
clearing center.
demographic if you don't know what you're talking about?
I do know what I'm talking about.
But you don't know because I just presented the statistics that you didn't have.
I'm not on a computer, being able to type and research it.
But
Did you prepare before this?
I could look at it right now.
Did you prepare
before? But you say Somali people.
I mean, silence is an option, Jeb. You don't have to have an opinion about something before you learn more about it. Because I'm not going to go on here and make these broad statements without looking them up first, especially not when I'm doing like a debate.
Let me look it up really quick. Okay, I looked up how much revenue does the state of Minnesota generate? $67.7 billion. Now I'm look up how much revenue do Somalis in the state of Minnesota generate? $500 million for 67 in total. That was just the first thing, the AI overview from Google. So, yeah, I'm sticking with my claim. We can agree Somalians are a net negative on the taxpayer system.
Absolutely not, because they contribute to the tax base.
But even again, you just said that they're a net negative, but you just looked up the stat yourself and said that they contribute 500 million.
Out of 100,000 people.
So how are they in that?
67 for the 67 billion? That's like 1%.
Jeb, can you do the math? Okay, 100,000 Somalis in Minnesota, population of 5.8 million.
I guess closer to like 200,000, but don't quote me on that.
What stat do you have for that?
I'm pretty sure I saw that. Is it 100 million? We'll go with that.
100,000.
I mean 100,000. Sorry.
So, if you do the math, are they contributing to society at a proportionate rate if it's only 100,000 of them in a state of 5.8 million and they're contributing 500 million in taxes or revenue, whatever the stat is?
I would have to do the math.
Right, but they're a minority population and they're I mean, as far as I can tell, there's no issue here. They are contributing to society at least an average rate.
They commit most of the crimes.
What evidence do you have for that claim?
Have you ever read a news article from Moorhead?
I have. I've read multiple news articles about Somali Americans.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. I mean, they're generally, creating crimes, causing problems.
Can you cite one article that says that?
I could look at the form for Fargo, North Dakota right now. I mean, you could probably just look at
we're talking about Minnesota
and shootings and stuff like that. Well, Minnesota and Moorhead and Fargo, they're right beside each other. So you have a lot of Somalians that come over. I know a guy who works in the healthcare field. All the workers there would be so mad when a Somalian came in because they always, you got to guarantee them a translator and stuff like that. A translator come in and they don't speak the dialect that the dude speaks and they throw a tantrum in the hospital. And it's just why don't you go back to Somalia? Oh, wait, you guys don't have hospitals. It's not a crime to speak a different language.
I mean, there's lots of languages spoken in America.
But I'm just saying, they're just a net negative on society. I mean,
because they speak a different language than you? How's that a net negative?
Not just because they speak a different language, but just
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question.
You're using this emotional reasoning again, but you don't have any actual evidence to back it up. And I've asked you to do the work in order to I'm not going to go on here. I want you to go to downtown Minneapolis and just walk around, Andrew. Sure, I will. I mean, would you pay for the plane ticket? I'll do it right now. I can book it.
I'll be there next week, so we could go and we could just walk around and just analyze and just look at people and just people watch.
Or we could look at nuts that are able to get a more comprehensive study put in place than just our own personal experience and perspective.
Okay, let's look at stats about IQ and stuff if we want to talk stats.
What does IQ have to do with committing crimes? Lots of high IQ individuals commit crimes all the time.
On average, I mean,
on average, if you have a really high IQ, that makes you more likely to be a drug addict because really smart people get really misanthropic and they get bored of life, so they start turning to illegal substances.
Yeah, maybe they don't deserve to live in our society, especially
why do you deserve to live in this society, but they don't?
Because my ancestors created it.
What makes you think that they're not creating a positive value in the United States beyond your own emotion?
They're being Uber drivers and janitors. And
Uber drivers and janitors are necessary in
this immense boom, and the science experiment's failing. That's how I see it. Mass immigration, science
failing. I mean, they're doing
across the West.
Okay, it's failing to you because you have at least a false idea of what Somalis are contributing to the economy. But bear in mind,
have you seen pictures of Paris? Have you seen pictures of London?
We're not talking about Paris or London. We're talking about Minnesota. We're talking about Minnesota. Don't change the subject.
We're talking about Minnesota. And Minnesota used to be a beautiful state.
It still is a beautiful state.
Until, they brought... Have you ever been to Minnesota?
You're going there next week, right? Why would you go there if you didn't like the state?
Yeah, have you ever been to Minnesota?
Not yet. I'd love to go. I've just been traveling elsewhere. But the point...
rural Minnesota is very nice. Minneapolis is terrible because liberalism and massive... multiculturalism has destroyed it. Mainly liberalism.
Multiculturalism is not destroying a city, okay? As it was said earlier, the things that are destroying cities...
Look at California. California used to be a beautiful state.
California is a very beautiful state. I live here right now. It's extremely beautiful. It still is.
I don't think they're positive, economic or not.
It's not about what you think or what you feel. Like, are they a positive? Yes, they are. We've established that. So would you rescind your
You've
point?
never been to Minnesota. You've never talked to anyone from Minnesota. You don't really
That
know.
doesn't disprove
Okay.
my point. I don't have to say that I've been to Egypt to know that the pyramids are there.
You go walk downtown Minneapolis, and we'll see how long you last.
What if I
and
walk
see if
downtown
you're
Minneapolis and I
real.
say that it's great, and then what?
And you say it's great.
I want to ask you again, would you rescind your point after I've already
No.
disproven that Somalis are a net positive on the American community? You would not deport all of them because they do
No.
contribute to the American society.
Deport all Somalians.
Then you're
So I
basing your
think-
opinions based off of your emotions and off of white nationalist rhetoric as opposed to stats and actual facts.
Yep. You're right.
So you're being
So
emotional.
I just don't know why they're in Minnesota. If they're so great and conservative, why don't you put them with other black populations?
Well,
say
have you
in
studied
Louisiana or
why they're
Alabama?
here, and have you studied what they're actually doing?
Yes, I've studied why they're here. I have a video on Instagram with 3 million views talking about why are
That
Somalians in
doesn't make you
Minnesota.
right. I have a video on TikTok with 4 million views. Ooh, does that make me right?
I don't know what you're getting at. I don't know why you're down on this hill of Somalis, Andrew. I understand why you could
Because you are
Somali friends, and
ignoring
everyone
the
has a different
actual facts and
experience.
evidence, and you're just making an assumption based off of your feelings. I'm going to attack that point because it is not based in evidence. You're being ignorant.
I'm being ignorant.
Yes, I had no opinion on Somalis, okay, until I studied why they're here and what they're doing for society. Then I formed an opinion. You formed an opinion before you actually had any evidence to back it up first. And now you're saying deport all Somalis when you don't have any evidence or reason as to why, just because you don't like them.
I've lived up here. I think that's evidence. I think that's evidence. To be honest,
It's not good enough. You need to have better
I've been
evidence. than just
around them. I
anecdotal
think that's
evidence.
evidence.
When you were growing up, did you have a crush on a Somali girl and she turned you down?
No, I only like white girls. But it's a
And you
good
say
one.
you're not a white nationalist. That's crazy. Well, if you said you liked Asian girls, then I might wonder. But that's a
No,
sort of-
I don't. No, I don't like Asian girls. Really,
That's a
only-
shame. You're missing out. But anyways, the
white
point that
girls.
I'm trying to speak on here is that you are so mentally stuck on why they're here.
Well, Somalia isn't the biggest hill. That's just what we're talking about. I'd say the biggest issue is Zionists running our countries, multinational
I would like to
corporations.
stay on this topic because I can't have a conversation with you if you're going to ignore evidence because of your
I'm not
feelings.
ignoring.
Yes, you are. You are literally ignoring
evidence. I think my evidence is just living here and talking to people because I don't think
Don't tell me
GDP is
what you
everything.
feel like. Just tell me what stats you have to actually prove your claim.
Talking to people. Talking to people that I know.
Okay, I talk to people.
There's
I can
3
talk
guys
to-
over here. I could ask them right now if they like Somalians. And
Cool. Okay,
bet
I
they
have
would
4
say
guys
no.
over here, and they could tell me that Somalis are good for America. What's the difference?
Maybe if they're economically positive somewhat, they're just average or slightly below average, like white people that live here. And I don't
So
think
that would
I looked
still
at mine and
discredit
they
your
aren't.
point
They
that
aren't.
they
They
are
aren't
a
a
net
They're
negative
a net
to society.
positive.
Yes,
They're
they
a net
are.
negative. They're
You
a net
have no
negative.
evidence to make that claim, and you can't just
I
make
have
a claim
economic
without
evidence. We literally looked it up and talked about this about
How
30
much do
minutes
they
ago.
contribute to the tax base?
Yeah, but even your
500
stat
million.
proves
Out of
that they are
100,000
a
people,
net
how is that a net
positive.
negative?
My stat
100,000 people contributed $500 million to a state. That
to
is a net
60 was it
positive.
67 billion in total?
That is still a net
Let me do the
positive.
math. Let me do the math.
That is
That is
still
still-
a net
That's
positive.
still a net positive, Jeb. That's why I'm still on this point. Because I can't have a
It's
conversation
like
with you
Donald
if you're
Trump
going to
saying
ignore
he's going to
evidence.
reduce medicine by 400%. That's not possible to do. But yes, $500 million contributed, and I'd have to look up your stat and Andrew's stat because you have
It was
two
just the
different
first
stats here.
AI thing. Why do you love Somalians so much?
It's not about Somalis.
I don't
it's
get
about
that.
the fact that your argument is based off of what?
I don't have a problem with Mexicans. I like Mexicans.
I'm not
I think
talking-
Mexicans,
The
contribute
point
to
is that
society.
you made an
But do you
argument
think the
before
United
you
States
doing
are
the
well?
work to
East
form
Asians
evidence.
are good.
Like I
I
said,
think America in general should remain 70 to 80% white.
and you're not
like,
basing that
it's-
off of anything substantial. It's just your own feelings and what? The people around you?
Sure, it's my feelings.
Yeah, that's the point. So the point is, I mean, mind
You
you,
won. You won, Andrew. You won. It's my feelings. You're right.
right, you're being
It's
really
over for me.
toxic. You're being very immature right now. I give you the evidence. You reject it with no evidence of your own, and then you act
I
like
looked it up. Your stat was from I don't know where.
it was from the
and
U.S. federal
I looked
government
it up,
under the Trump
and we'd have to
administration.
do the
It was
math.
released last year.
Okay, I just looked at the AI overview. I know that
Exactly. You
Somalians are
haven't
on
done the
welfare
work to
more
form
than
an
Somalis
argument.
are on welfare more than white people.
You
I
just
don't
looked at
know.
an AI
Are you
overview
bought?
and you
Are
generated
you
a
bought and
claim.
paid for by
Are
Somalia?
you bought and paid for because you just looked at an AI overview? I'm not bought and paid for by anyone. I make my money working at
Me
Costco.
either. I work during the summer construction to make my money.
Okay,
for
cool.
college
Then why are you
and
just looking at
stuff
an
like
AI
that.
overview instead of actually looking deeper into the facts?
Because I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's
I'm
my
looking at the AI
point,
overview
man.
'cause
You
that's
have
just
to
easy.
study these things deeper. You have to go into the stuff
We
that
can
makes
talk
you
about history. I know history well.
You don't know history well. You disagree with me
I
when
do
I
know
said that
history
Britain
well.
extracted
I
wealth
do
from
know.
India.
I met a guy in Minneapolis. He came up to me, started recording me saying white nationalist, Nazi, all this stuff. And then I had a conversation with him for like 15 minutes. He ended up following me on Instagram, and I was like, "Yo, man, you want to take me to a Somali restaurant stuff?" He never responded to me, so I tried. I tried to
Wait,
like,
did you
you know,
go to
I'm
a
trying
Somali
to.
restaurant on your own?
No, but
Wait, did you
this
try?
guy, I was gonna have this guy show me. I don't know.
You didn't try then. If you really tried, you would have gone to a Somali restaurant. That's the point. You're not putting in the effort to form your
See,
opinion.
but I just like I don't care that much. I'd rather go eat somewhere where I know
Then
is
why are you
like
making
good to
these
eat
broad
if I'm
statements
out
if
in
you don't care about the
Minneapolis.
subject? Finding ways to bolster your opinion, but you're not
You
actually
say I'm
doing the work.
emotional, but you are like you sound so emotional. You just sound like feminine. I'm just gonna keep it real.
Thank you. I love
No
women.
Oh,
offense.
Women are the
Fetterman?
best. I love women.
Do you
How is
love
that?
women, or do you actually like do women love you, or are you
Yes,
like
women love me all the time. Like, what are you
like
talking about?
okay?